Hi, it's Ali from Inspiralized, and today we're in my kitchen and we are making my sweet potato carbonara. When I first started my blog, I had to Inspiralize every single Italian classic pasta dish, and carbonara is definitely one I started with. It is such a classic, indulgent taste, but we're lightening it up with sweet potato noodles. It has an egg and Parmesan cheese-based sauce and pancetta. It's just delicious, and it's so classic Italian. And the sweet potato noodles are a bit sweet too, so they catch those flavors from the pancetta. It just comes together really, really nicely. So we're going to start with a few simple ingredients. We have, of course, some grated Parmesan cheese. We have cubed pancetta, a sweet potato for those noodles. We have diced red onion, an egg for that sauce, some minced garlic, red pepper flakes, and then always salt and pepper and olive oil. And of course, we're going to be using a Spiralizer. We are going to start with a sweet potato. So we're going to prep it for the Spiralizer, which all we need to do is peel it and then chop off those ends flatly and evenly. And we do that because it's easy for leverage when you're spiralizing, and if you don't, it'll wobble as you go. And we are going to use half at a time, so we're going to cut it in half for better leverage as we're spiralizing, which I'm going to show you just how to do right now. Just slice the ends off, and then we're going to slice it in half. Woo! Runaway sweet potato. And I'm just going to move this to a side and make way for my Inspiralizer. And I'm going to be setting this on blade D, which is the thin spaghetti blade, and we're just going to make a classic Italian pasta noodle. And I'm going to just grab my plate here so that we can catch the noodles as they come out of the Spiralizer. And what we need to remember at the end of this is to trim our noodles. And I'm going to show you just how to do that with a kitchen shear. So now we're just going to crank that handle, spiralize. Getting those beautiful orange noodles. Woo. And there are different varieties of sweet potatoes at the grocery store. You could do yams, you could do white sweet potatoes. I like to use the orange potato because it's just so beautiful in color. Finish that up. And now I'll show you the part where we trim those noodles. So we're going to grab a kitchen shear, make sure it's clean of course, and we're just going to roughly chop the noodles. And we're doing this because of course, when you spiralize, you can get these really long, continuous noodles, and especially if you're making this for your kids or someone who likes to play with their food, they can kind of, start jump roping with something like this. So just keep on snipping until there's no really long noodles left anymore. And if you forget to do this, like I usually always do, you could just trim them when you go to eat them, or as you're cooking, you could just chop a little bit. Okay, so now we are all prepped. We have all of our ingredients. Now we just get to cook. So we're going to start by cooking our pancetta. We're going to add this to a pot we're adding this to a skillet that's been heating over medium-high heat. We want it pretty hot so that it'll suck all the fats out of there, and then we don't have to add in that extra oil. So we're going to cook these for about 5 to 7 minutes until they get nice and crispy so that every bite with sweet potatoes are nice and fully cooked. Okay. Just let that sit, and as you can tell, already the juices are coming out from those oils and the fat. Just let that sit there and cook, and in the meantime we are going to make our sauce, which is basically just a beaten egg with some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to crack one egg in there, and then I'm going to whisk it together, and then add in that Parmesan cheese. And it's going to seem very thick, but then when we add it back in with the sweet potato noodles, it'll all melt really nicely together. Okay. And that was a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And mix it like this. And it almost looks like a mixture you would use if you were cooking lasagna or something like that. Okay. Make sure it's all combined. Right? And there we're done. So now our sauce is ready to be poured in at the end. And our pancetta is crisping up very nicely. And if you see it darkening or browning, you could just lower the heat. But it should crisp up. That's what we want. So these are almost done here, so I'm just going to go ahead and add in my red onion, which I've diced. And since the pan is very, very hot, I'm going to add in garlic at the very last point. Okay. I'm going to add in a pinch of red pepper flakes, and I might add in a little bit more at the end. So now that this pancetta is nicely cooked, I'm going to add in that garlic and stir it around a little bit more. And now we get to add in our sweet potato noodles. Just pour them right in there. We're gonna give it a nice big toss so all those flavors coat the noodles, and your kitchen will basically start to smell like sweet potato fries. And the key to cooking sweet potato noodles is not being a perfectionist, actually. I get this question a lot. People always say, my sweet potato noodles are breaking apart in the skillet, and that's what happens when sweet potatoes cook. They soften and they easily break. So if you get your sweet potato noodles and they're cooking and they start to break up, it's okay. They're still gonna taste delicious and it's still going to be very pasta-like. So basically you're gonna cook those sweet potato noodles until they wilt down really nicely. They will be al dente at this point, but if you want it to be softer, just keep cooking it, kind of eye it up, and you can always just taste the food. It's edible, so don't be afraid. So we're gonna season these with a little bit of salt and pepper. Okay, because we're about done. We maybe have a couple more minutes until those are cooked through, and then we're gonna whisk in that sauce off heat. And just keep tossing together. Make sure you're combining everything so that every bite has a little bit of onion and a little bit of pancetta and a little bit of garlic. And if you were in a hurry and you wanted to speed this up, you can always cover the skillet with a lid and then it'll steam and cook the noodles more quickly, but it will break them up also because the steam will break apart the sweet potatoes. So it's totally personal preference. At this point, you can tell they're nice and wilted and they're pretty much done. So I'm gonna turn off the heat here. It's not cooking anymore. And I'm gonna hold this up, give it another toss, okay? And now we just pour in the sauce, which is the egg and the Parmesan mixture. And as we pour it, we wanna keep tossing so that the egg starts to cook. Because obviously we don't wanna be eating raw egg. So we're just gonna keep tossing. You'll see that egg cook in there. Make sure it all gets out. And then just keep turning and turning. And you're gonna see the egg cook. It looks a little scrambled on the side. Just keep tossing together. And if your skillet wasn't hot enough and you were like, oh no, I'm making her recipe and the egg isn't cooking, you could just turn it right back up. It doesn't matter at that point. Okay? And what I will do here, we're pretty much done. I'm gonna add in another pinch of red pepper flakes because I think carbonara is best when you get that spicy kick from the red pepper flakes and then you have the sweetness from the pancetta and obviously the sweet potato. So that is done. That is sweet potato carbonara. Now all we have to do is taste it. This is actually one of Lou's favorite dishes of mine, so I'm sad he's not here because he would have loved to be my taste tester. I actually have a zucchini noodle version of this, which he likes even more, which is just a fried egg on top. But if you want that recipe, you can go to my blog. I will leave a link in the description of this video below. For now, I'm going to taste this. Oh. I have nothing else to say except you can't really go wrong with a carbonara. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you loved this video and loved this recipe. As always, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future notifications when I post more everyday Inspiralized cooking videos. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.